Welcome to Blindfold Movie Trivia. This is an exercise in which I'm going to try and name the Best Picture winners from 1967 onward, and my friend Martin here will be asking me the year, so I will name the Best Picture, who directed it, and possibly go off with some other tangential trivia that I think might be relevant.
Yeah, so you're kind of putting your movie trivia knowledge on the line here. Pride yourself on knowing anything movie related.
Yes. So today we're going to put that to the test, and I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, well I've got the list of films here, quite an extensive list. So whenever you're ready, Andrew.
I'm ready.
Got 10 minutes on the clock.
Okay, 10 minutes.
And we'll start now. Can you name 2001?
2001 was A Beautiful Mind, directed by Ron Howard.
Correct. Let's have 1980.
1980 was Ordinary People, directed by Robert Redford. Most people think that Scorsese should have won for 1980's Raging Bull, starring Robert De Niro.
Okay, 1972.
1972 was The Godfather, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. However, Coppola did not win the Best Directing Oscar. That would go to Bob Fosse for directing Cabaret.
1977.
1977 was Annie Hall, directed by Woody Allen, co-written by Woody Allen and Marshall Brickman, which was originally titled Anhedonia, which means the inability to feel love. A lot of people think that Star Wars should have won Best Picture for that year.
1986.
1986 Platoon, directed by Oliver Stone. That won Best Picture. That was shot sequentially, and most of the actors, when their characters died, would get sent home. So by the end, only 3 or 4 of them from the regular cast were on set.
Okay, let's have 2006.
2006 was The Departed, directed by Martin Scorsese, the first Academy Award win that he would have.
Okay, for an extra bonus point, can you name 2 of the 4 other nominees for 2006?
For bonus points, 2006, I cannot.
Okay. Let's have 1997.
1997, Titanic won Best Picture, directed by James Cameron. That pretty much swept the Oscars that year. And according to Curtis Hanson, who is the director of LA Confidential, who won the Best Adapted Screenplay Award with Brian Helgeland, he said, well, you don't make a movie the year Gone with the Wind comes out.
Okay, I'll give you the extra bonus point then for Gone with the Wind.
Thank you.
1991.
1991, Silence of the Lambs, directed by Jonathan Demme, written by Ted Talley. This was the first film since One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest to sweep the major the major categories, I should say. Jonathan Demme winning, Silence of the Lambs winning Best Picture, Jonathan Demme winning Best Director, Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster winning Best Actress and Actor.
Let's go back a little, 1970.
1970 was Patton, directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, co-written by Edmund North and Francis Ford Coppola.
Okay, 1979.
1979 was Kramer versus Kramer, directed by Robert Benton. Interesting on this is that Benton wrote the script and asked Dustin Hoffman, who was going through a divorce, or who had gone through a divorce, who ended up contributing some of the ideas, whether he would want to share a co-screenwriting credit, at which point Hoffman passed, but later regretted not doing so.
Okay, 1989.
1989, Driving Miss Daisy won Best Picture, directed by Bruce Beresford, starring Jessica Tandy, Dan Aykroyd, and Morgan Freeman.
Okay, 1995.
1995, Braveheart, directed by Mel Gibson, one of the few actors to win an award for directing, but not for acting. Others in his category are Kevin Costner for directing Dances with Wolves, Warren Beatty for directing Reds, Robert Redford for directing Ordinary People, and Clint Eastwood for directing Unforgiven and $1 Million Baby.
2010.
2010 was The King's Speech, directed by Tom Hooper.
2003.
2003, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, directed by Peter Jackson.
1984.
1984, Amadeus, directed by Milos Forman, based off of the play by Peter Shaffer, starring Tom Hulce and F. Murray Abraham. And what's interesting on this, Tom Hulce based Mozart on a young John McEnroe, or the outbursts were based on a young John McEnroe.
Can that be serious?
Exactly.
1974.
1974, Godfather 2, directed by Francis Coppola, starring Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, and obviously other actors, Robert Duvall. Interesting enough, they wanted Richard Castellano, who played Clemenza, to be more of a lead role, and he asked for a lot of money in his salary. So they ended up creating a new character named Frankie Pantangeli, who played by Michael Gatso, who ended up getting an Academy Award nomination.
Okay, 1969.
1969, Midnight Cowboy, directed by John Schlesinger, which was the first X-rated film to win the Best Picture.
1983.
1983, Terms of Endearment, directed by James L. Brooks, also adapted by James L. Brooks. He created the character of the astronaut that Jack Nicholson would play, and I believe originally he wanted Burt Reynolds for the role. Reynolds passed, later regretted it, and Nicholson, when he read the script, said, "I will win an Academy Award for this part."
Okay, now for this next section, I'm going to give you the name of the film, and I want you to give me the year.
Oh, okay, switching it up.
Okay, we've got Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves was 1990, also directed by Kevin Costner.
Chariots of Fire.
Chariots of Fire was 1981, and that was directed by... Oh, geez. I'm blanked. I blanked on that one.
Comment below if you know the answer. 1992, going back to the years.
Okay, 1992, Unforgiven, directed by Clint Eastwood, based on a script written by David Webb Peoples back originally in 1976 called The William Money Killings, and it took that long for Eastwood to feel like he was of age to play the character of William Money.
1994.
1984, Forrest Gump, directed by Robert Zemeckis. 94 was a powerful year that also saw Pulp Fiction released, Shawshank Redemption, Apollo 13. No, wait, I'm sorry, Apollo 13 was 95.
Okay, I'll give you some of the other nominees that lost, and you have to name the film that won in the year. Tootsie.
1982.
Oh, well done. You get more points if the fewer.
The fewer, okay. And Tootsie was originally, I think, written by Larry Gelbart. Or based, I think there are a lot of screenwriters, but originally, I think, was written by Larry Gelbart.
Okay, next one, Bound for Glory.
Bound for Glory was 1976, which was a Hal Ashby picture. Also came out that year was Taxi Driver, but the winner was Rocky, directed by John Avildsen.
Indeed it was. Next one, let's have Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof was 1960... 1967? 68.
No. I can give you The Last Picture Show is also an
Oh, okay, 1971.
Yeah.
1971.
And the film that won.
In 1971 was The French Connection by William Friedkin.
Okay, I think we're getting almost all of them. How about 1987?
1987 was The Last Emperor, directed by Bernardo Bertolucci, starring Peter O'Toole.
1996.
1996 was The English Patient, directed by Anthony Minghella, starring Ralph Fiennes, and one of Elaine Benes's least favorite films.
How about more recently, 2011.
2011 was The Artist, directed by Michael Hanavicius. I think that's how you pronounce his name, starring Jean Dujardin.
Okay, and let's have the two most recent, 2012 and 2013.
2012 was Argo, directed by Ben Affleck, and 2013 was 12 Years a Slave, directed by Steve McQueen.
And I'll give you the name of the film, Chicago.
Chicago, 2002, and that was directed by Rob Marshall.
Okay, any other nominees from that year?
from 2002. Not off the top of my head.
You've got Gangs of New York, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, The Pianist, also 2002.
Well, Lord of the Rings directed by Peter Jackson. The Pianist directed by, hold on, his name's coming to me. I'm blanking on his name. Roman Polanski. And what was the other one? And Gangs of New York by Scorsese.
And also The Hours.
And The Hours by Stephen Daldry.
Okay, 1985.
1985 was Out of Africa, directed by Sidney Pollack, starring Robert Redford and Meryl Streep.
Yeah. 1993.
1993 was Schindler's List, directed by Steven Spielberg. Interestingly enough about this, Scorsese was offered the chance to direct, and Spielberg, I believe, was going to direct Cape Fear, which had come out earlier, but then they ended up switching projects.
Okay, 1978.
1978 was The Deer Hunter, directed by Michael Cimino, also starring Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken, John Savage, and Chuck Aspergren, and George Zunza.
Other failed nominees from this year were Working Girl, The Accidental Tourist.
This is 1988, and Rain Man won that year, directed by Barry Levinson.
1973.
1973 was The Sting, directed by George Roy Hill, written by David Ward, starring Robert Redford and Paul Newman.
2004.
2004 was Million Dollar Baby, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Hilary Swank and Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood.
And other nominees were The Insider, The Green Mile.
This is 1999, and the winner was American Beauty, directed by Sam Mendes, written by Alan Ball, starring Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening.
Okay, and 1975.
1975 was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, directed by Milos Forman, starring Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher and Brad Dourif. And again, this was one of the first times since it happened one night, back in the 30s, that all the major categories were won by the same film. Actually, this one was produced by a young Michael Douglas.
Okay, and 1998.
1998 was Shakespeare in Love, directed by John Madden, co-written by Mark Norman and Tom Stoppard.
Yeah, and any of the films that it beat?
In 1998, it beat, I want to say, Saving Private Ryan.
And you'd be correct.
Which was directed by Spielberg, and I'm not sure the other.
And Elizabeth, Life is Beautiful, and The Thin Red Line.
That's right.
1968.
1968 was Oliver, the musical, directed by Sir Carol Reed, which also starred his nephew, Oliver Reed.
2008.
2008 was... was Slumdog Millionaire, directed by Danny Boyle.
Got there eventually.
Yes.
And 2007.
2007 was No Country for Old Men, directed by the Coen brothers, based off of the novel by Cormac McCarthy, starring Tommy Lee Jones and Josh Brolin.
And 1967.
1967, In the Heat of the Night, directed by Norman Jewison, starring Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger.
And then I think our final one, yeah, we've only got one left, 2005. Actually, no, sorry, we've got two left.
Yes, we've got 2005 and 2009.
Yeah.
2005 was Crash, directed and written by Paul Haggis, and 2009 is The Hurt Locker, directed by Catherine Bigelow.
Correct. A clean sweep.
Close. It was very close. Well, thank you, Martin.
No problem.
And
the easy job.
Yeah. And thank you for watching.
Yeah, do comment below any incorrect answers that Andrew gave, although I don't think there were any. Just comment really how sad he is, really knowing all of.
And this has been an edition of Blindfold Movie Trivia.